Hey, y'all. Hey, Spencer. We're swapped around again.
Huh?
We're swapped around again. Hold on.
Yeah, but I know you do it on purpose. What's going on now? Oh, you're muted.
I don't know.
Hold on one sec. I'll be back in a
in the
minute. You talk to everybody.
You talk to everybody and let me leave. Hey, y'all. I don't know what in the world is going on. My internet sucks. Spencer sucks, apparently. He tried to come in twice. Look, I'm seeing him twice at the bottom. Spencer, you can't be on here twice. Nobody likes you that much. Hang on a second. Look here. Well, I'm just going to go ahead and bring our guest out then, since Spencer doesn't know how to do his job. Oh, he got me talking about him. Never mind. All right. Are you getting it? Well, anyways, hope everybody. Hang on. Are you working? Is this? Look, she's not coming up either.
I can see you.
You can say I can't see you, but I can hear you.
Oh,
let's see.
There's
Sorry,
Greg.
guys. I don't know what in the world's going on. Hey, y'all.
Hey,
Let's
there
see.
we
Let
are.
me try
All
one more
right.
time.
Is everything working now? Where'd Mary go?
Well, I can't see her. I don't know. Let me try to remove her and bring her back in. I don't know what in the world's going on with our dadgum.
I'm here.
Nope. Still can't. Yeah.
Experiencing technical difficulties.
We can hear you, Mary. We can't see you.
I wonder if her camera got clicked off.
I don't know. Mary, why don't you leave the studio? See the leave the studio button? Just leave and come back in.
Okay. Yeah, because I can see all four of us on the screen, but all right, hold on. Let me find the.
Oh, there she is. Look at her.
There we go.
Oh, you got me?
Yep.
Perfect.
Okay. Well, what the heck is going on?
Gosh,
They don't
I'm
like us
telling you,
doing.
they're messing with our shit.
Y'all don't quit flipping sides. I'm gonna have to go get a Dramamine. I'm gonna be seasick.
I'm telling you,
We keep flipping.
the last few days it's been crazy.
Yeah, I mean it's the same way we always do the openings and settings and everything. I don't know. But anyway, hey everybody in the chat. Sorry that was confusing there for a minute. Not sure what happened.
Yeah.
Is everybody sick of seeing Misty and me, or just me?
No, I think all of us at this point, because especially after last night.
Well, today we got Miss Mary Fabian. She created the Pennsylvania Bigfoot Project. Mary's been doing this kind of stuff for a long time. She was on Beast, and you were on another show, weren't you, Mary? Were you on with Chris Reinhardt?
I don't think so. I've been on a lot of different podcasts, but
Yeah.
As for organizations, I was with the Beast organization. I was part of their team for a while, and then before that, the MABRC yeah, I was with the MABRC for a while, where I met Mark and the others.
So, where do you go? Tell us about Pennsylvania. I mean, you've been all over the country looking. It's not just Pennsylvania or anything, but you're there in Pennsylvania. So,
Yeah.
how's the booger activity up there?
It's pretty good. They're different from what you have down there, from what, or at least Greg, what he has down in that area. The ones we have here, they're a little bit milder, and they're not as vocal. And oh, thank you, Gary. And
Thanks.
yeah, they're here. They're quite prevalent. They're all over the place. We get reports near the cities, and going down, and people are surprised as to, of course, how close they do get into the cities. When was it? Last year, I think there was a black bear that was found in the city of Pittsburgh, downtown. He had been there for about 6 months before he was discovered. So, and I bring that up to people, and I say, hey, if a bear can do it, I think Bigfoot can do it too.
Yeah. So what part of Pennsylvania do you think is like the hotbed? I mean, I know they're probably all over the place, but
The hotbed would be in the section that is known as the Chestnut Ridge. That's pretty hot between UFO sightings,
Yeah.
ghost activity, which I'm really not into, and Bigfoot. And people seem to tie at least UFOs and Bigfoot together, which I don't. But hey, you never know what's out there.
do you
But yeah, that's in the southwestern area, from central to western Pennsylvania.
so going right over into Ohio and everything?
It really goes down into Maryland and West Virginia.
Okay. Did you ever see that movie? There was a movie, I think it was called Mountain Devil.
I haven't seen it yet, although I really should take the time and watch it.
It's in Pennsylvania. I can't remember where it's at.
In the Chestnut Ridge.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a pretty good movie. The account is really interesting. I've seen it. I've read it, and I've seen the movie, and it's pretty interesting. So
yeah, I think that was done through Small Town Monsters, I think is the production company. Now, they recently did another documentary series. It's on their YouTube channel called The Ridge, and it's on the Chestnut Ridge. I'm on quite a few of those episodes since I have had experiences.
I will look that up. So why don't you walk us through how the heck did you get into the Bigfoot field?
Well, my first sighting is it was way back when, back in 1967, whenever I was 11 years old. And I saw one while I was walking off the back of my property. I was hiking down a trail, going to visit with a friend, and just saw him off to the side. He came across out of the woods and crossed over the trail in front of me, maybe 50 yards across, because I was heading down into a holler, and he was up at the top. And he was just coming across. He stopped on the trail and just looked at me, and then he continued on. Now, this was before the Patterson-Gimlin film came out. I hadn't even heard of it, back then. That was, at that time, all there was specials on the Siberian snowman or the Yeti, and that's all we knew about back then. But what I saw and what I thought that I saw for the longest time was just a really big man wearing a fur coat in the middle of summer. He had Neanderthal type features also, which really stuck in my mind. And honestly, that's about all I remember from that. I don't, I wouldn't be able to tell you, an estimation of how tall he was. And I was 11 years old. Every adult was big.
Right. How far
But
away was it?
he was, let's see, directly across from me, from the hall, or maybe I would say no further than 50 yards. Definitely no further than that. He was, fairly close. I'd say 35 to 50 yards.
Did he make any kind of noise or?
Nope. He just stopped, looked at me, and then continued on into the field across. And he went into the brush, and that was that. But, so for such a innocuous, encounter, it stuck in my head, for decades, until much later on, after encountering other Bigfoot activity at my home, where I lived at that time. That was in 2004, whenever I remarried and moved further north into right along the Ohio-PA county line. And I had continuing Bigfoot activity there at my home for 12 years. And during that time is whenever I really started exploring, what was Bigfoot, what was going on, number one, and then trying to figure out, okay, what are they? I just wanted to learn more about them. And that was a time and a half, just learning, because I was wading through all the nonsense, going through all the different groups and all the really weird stuff, until I finally found the Bigfoot Outlaws, with Kumbo and Bear. And whenever I discovered them, it's like, lights came on and the angels started singing. It's common sense. And that's what it was. Whenever they were relating what they were experienced and what they knew, it was, hey, common sense. This is what I was experiencing, and this is what I was learning myself. Whenever I was experiencing, what the SOB was doing is what I was nicknaming him, because that's what he was. He was just a bully, an SOB.
Well, tell us about it. What did he do right there at your house? Like how did you first? What's the first thing that happened, and how did you figure out it was a booger, and what all was he doing?
Well, the first thing that he did was he whacked the side of the wall back behind the bed, directly where my head was, and I heard him talking, the samurai chatter. And at first it was like, what the heck, is this the ghost of the former owner? Is he mad at me or something? And it was a while before I nailed things down as to, okay, this isn't ghost, this is something else, this is a Bigfoot. He would come around, to the back of the house. Whenever I was sitting out in the family room watching TV or something, I'd be out there with my dog, and she would be laying by the back door, and she would always be watching out that back door. And whenever he would come around, she would react in a specific way, which booger dogs should, and that's what she turned out to be. pretty good booger dog. She would, as soon as he would come around, she would start just giving a very soft mixture between a whine and a growl. And her hackles would go up, and she would crawl backwards until she was huddled up against my legs, just shaking in absolute terror. And this went on, after, month after month. And, I finally figured out, eventually, that it wasn't a ghost that was doing this to her and terrifying me by her reaction. I would sit there with a loaded pistol by my side, and nothing would happen. He would just come around and peek in the windows and terrorize her, probably just to watch her reaction and to see if I would start screaming or running around or whatever.
Yeah.
But the one night, eventually, I got fed up, because, she was a rescue. She was a border collie, and I had gotten her from Border Collie Rescue out in Ohio. And she had already been abused by her previous owners, and I was working with her, getting her confidence back, getting her voice back, as a dog, to be a happy dog the way that she should be. And he was just undermining all of that. And the one night, she was huddled up against me, just shaking, and I got fed up. Yeah, that was it. My Irish came out, Mama Bear, and I jumped up. I ran over to the back door, grabbed a golf club that I had sitting there, ran out the door. Yeah, I ran out the door after him, chased him up the hill. He, I just hollered at him to leave my dog alone, you SOB. And of course, he kept coming back. He didn't listen to me. But he was, that's all he did, basically. Month after month, he would come by like every 2.5 to 3 weeks. He was on, and I learned this from the outlaws, that they'll be on a circle as they go through their territory, and my spot in their path was like every 2.5 to 3 weeks. And the one time that I saw him pretty clear, I was sitting out in the backyard drying my hair, and I saw movement over the wall behind my house, and there he was laying flat and just raised himself up, so his head and shoulders were there above the wall watching me. And I saw him, and I said, "I see you, SOB," and he ducked down and crawled away. But he hung around. The one night, when was it? I can't remember what year it was, but this was after that Not Finding Bigfoot TV show came on. Probably 2014 or so. I had gone up the hill about a mile away from the house, up in the wooded area. And, I saw the people on TV doing, banging on trees and hollering and hooping and everything. So I figured, I'm going to try that. Yeah, right. No, not a good idea. So I did a couple whoops and didn't hear anything. So I just went back home. Well, 2:30 in the morning, my husband and I were sound asleep. I woke up to something banging on the walls, plural. They were banging on, there were more than one, bang on a couple of the walls going around the house. A smaller one apparently jumped up on the roof and was running back and forth across the roof.
Really?
And yeah, we lived in a low range home, and so it would have been easy for something to jump up there. And a small one, not a full-grown one. But yeah, I could hear him running back and forth across the roof, and I'm shaking my husband, trying to wake him up, saying, wake up, wake up. And he wouldn't. He just wouldn't. He's such a sound sleeper. God bless him. I love him. But he's a sound sleeper. And yeah, he didn't wake up until it was all over. And yeah, and that took about 20 minutes, of all that going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, they never did that again. And after that, I learned, I'm not going to whoop. I'm not going to bang on trees. Whenever I go out, I'm just not going to do it.
You must have done a pretty convincing whoop. They thought you were one of theirs.
I don't know what it was, but apparently I crossed a line somewhere. And no, hey, they can cross all the lines they want, and they didn't learn that my property is mine, and they aren't supposed to come over and bang on my house. But that I don't know. But we moved away from there in 2016. We built a new home, maybe about 10 miles as a crow flies. And as we were building this house, around the foundation, I could see footprints of some smaller ones, and found some structures in the area. So I knew they were here too.
Yeah.
But they haven't bothered me. I've seen the alpha 3 times, but he hasn't bothered me.
You've seen the alpha 3 times, like there at your house?
Yeah.
Your new
Wow.
house?
Yeah, my new house.
Tell us about that.
A few months after we moved in, I was sitting on my front porch enjoying the sunshine. It was May 2017. The sun was shining. I was enjoying the view. We've got a field across from us, and there were cows out there. And although I don't think the cows were in the field at the time, they were down in the lower field. But I'm just sitting there, and it goes up to a hill, and at the back of the field there's a wooded part that goes back a couple thousand acres. And out of the top of the hill, I saw 3 deer come out of a game trail, and they came trotting down the fence line. And behind them, here comes Bigfoot. He was a brownish gray color, pretty lean. He wasn't as husky as the first one. And he just walked down the hill behind them. He wasn't running or anything. He was basically just herding them down, and they cut into another game trail at the bottom. And that was my first view of him. Do I use cameras to keep them off my house? That at the first house, no, someone suggested that, and I was kind of resistant to that at the time, because I was halfway pissed at them, at that SOB for coming around the house. But in the meantime, I was also doggone curious. I wanted to learn. Yeah. And I knew that if I put up cameras, I wouldn't learn. It would keep them away. So So no, we didn't put up cameras. We had security lights, motion sensor security lights up at the back of the house, though. The problem with that was he kept moving them. And I would, at first I would holler at my husband, asking, why are you moving them, the motion sensor lights? They need to trigger if something comes in the backyard. And he said, I'm not moving them. And and I said, well, something's moving them because they're not triggering. And I went out there and I studied, and apparently he was coming down the side of the house under the low eaves, because like I said, it was a low ranch house. And he was just coming down under the eaves and probably just reached up real easy and moved the lights so they wouldn't trigger.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Diane, yeah.
Yep, there's quite a few people that have supposedly. I've heard people talk about going outside and the light bulbs would be unscrewed a little bit, or the sensor would be broken. Anyway, so you saw the big boy 3 times, huh? Can you describe?
He is a brownish gray color, although the last time I saw him was sometime last year. He was a little bit more gray, and I haven't seen him this year. I've heard vocals, but I don't know if it was from him or not.
Were you ever close enough to get a look at the face and to be able to distinguish? No?
No.
Okay. So you don't know if it was more man-like looking or more ape-like looking? Or
No. The first time I saw him, he was maybe 100 yards away. So I really couldn't make out specific features. And then the other 2 times I saw him was at night, and he was running across the back of my property, probably chasing deer. I don't know.
any idea, like size-wise, how tall he was?
Yeah, from the first time that I saw him, I was able to estimate his height by pinpointing a tree limb that he walked underneath. And then whenever my neighbor was walking up in that same area, I asked my neighbor later on, I said, how tall are you? And he said, oh, a little over 6 foot. Well, I could tell, okay, this guy was probably 7 to 8 foot, probably closer to 8.
Big enough.
Yeah. Now, he's not the biggest one I saw, though. Biggest one I saw was out in Columbiana County, Ohio. That one had to have been at least 10 foot. He was monstrously huge, coal black and just huge. Unfortunately, again, I couldn't make out features, and it was only like a 3-second sighting.
What was he doing?
He was just walking from a game trail across a dirt lane, and down a game trail. And I was passing by in a vehicle, and happened to see him as he crossed the dirt lane as we were passing by. That was a 1 in a million view right there.
Yeah, we should all be so lucky to see them like that instead of.
Yeah.
So that area you were talking about right there, what part of Ohio did you say it was?
That's Columbiana County, Ohio. That's right along the state line of Pennsylvania and Ohio. It's a very active county. We go over into that area fairly often. We'll go down to Salt Fork State Park fairly often also, if you've heard of that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, people keep saying, oh, it's there's no Bigfoot there. You know, there's too many people um, that everybody knows about it, and so the Bigfoot aren't there anymore. Well, the people are there for the conventions and the conferences, but then they go home. We go before the conferences. We go early in the year whenever there's no one else around, and they're bored after the winter.
Google's have problems with their
Uh, I haven't heard of anything. They don't bother my garden. There's plenty of cornfields around that they can eat the corn all they want.
Whenever you said that that they were traveling through the area on a cycle, on a regular cycle, do
Yeah.
you have any way of, can you tell, is it all year long they just keep making the same cycle?
Yeah, at least this particular troop was. They were. It was year round. He didn't stop in the winter time. I
Right.
found where they were a nice sheltered area that they went into during the winter time. But and there were sightings in that area also. But I found footprints, that matched up with what I found.
Whenever you say sheltered area, do you mean like a rock bluff or caves or?
No, it was a deep valley, a, a state park that was closed in the wintertime, so no one went in there. The roads were inaccessible, and they had that valley all to themselves.
What's now you said that they behave a little bit different in your neck of the woods versus like, Georgia or Alabama or whatever. And I think they behave differently here where I am. Like you said, right here where I am, they don't vocalize very often,
Mm-hmm.
but they're not friendly, but they're not
Right.
they're not overly aggressive or anything in my neck of the woods either.
Right.
Have you ever experienced anything aggressive up there?
Up here, other than getting hit with infrasound whenever I was getting a little bit too close, or getting rocks and tree limbs thrown at me, and getting my truck rocked, getting bluff charged. Other than that, no.
Oh, well, as soon as they start throwing things, they're not happy with you. But
right,
you got the truck. Did you say they smacked the truck?
They would, whenever I was inside sleeping in my truck, they would rock my truck by pushing on it and rocking the truck. This was at a campground where there wasn't anyone else there, and I think that they would do that to just about anybody who would come in, and just to hear them scream or holler or something, like teenagers do. Kids will come up, how kids are, they'll come up on your porch, ring your doorbell, and run away. Well, I think that's what the Bigfoot were doing there. It was just juveniles playing games.
And did you say you got bluff charged?
Yeah.
I bet that's scary.
Yeah, it was. That was up in McCain County, which is along the New York, Pennsylvania state line. I had gone into an area with a group of Bigfoot researchers. We were there for one of our campouts, and I was at base staying at the vehicles because there was a disabled lady in the vehicle next to mine, and so I had to stay close to her. She couldn't do anything. She wasn't driving or anything. Her husband was out in the field. And we were, the two of us were just there. And, we would hear rustling and all kinds of movement up in the weeds across the train tracks from us. There was a game trail up there. And there was previous activity seen there. As soon as we pulled in, there was a power knock. We knew that they were there at that time. But after everyone else was out hiking around, we could, the two of us could hear movement. They were just back and forth, trying to scare us off or doing something. And I was nervous and afraid that one of them would come up behind me and sneak up underneath my truck. So I called in on the walkie-talkies to get someone else in there. And a guy came in. And as soon as the guy came in, all the movement stopped. It was as if nothing was there. And another researcher came in, a lady. The guy went off hiking again, but the lady stayed. As soon as he went off, the movement and the activity started up again, all the noise. They were shaking bushes and doing all kinds of stuff up on that hill, trying to divert my attention, basically. And what happened was my fears were correct. One snuck up behind and went up underneath my truck. And so I moved up where the front wheel was blocking my legs from him underneath the truck. And, I was just staying there. I didn't want to frighten the lady in the other vehicle. I was just trying to stay as calm as possible, but he was underneath there. And while he was there, there was, me, the other researcher, and the lady in the vehicle. We were just sitting there talking, and apparently the one under my truck went away. And all of a sudden, I heard what sounded like, or we heard, basically a freight train coming down, rushing down the hill at us, just breaking through all the brush and the trees and everything. And but then he stopped short before he came out into the open. He just stopped. And, and I'm looking, flashing my light over there, trying to see, what the heck was that? And after consulting with Kumbo and Bubba about it, they said, yeah, that was a juvenile. If it was an adult, they would have come out in the open. Juveniles, they'll stop short.
Huh.
But yeah, it was a brown shorts moment.
Oh yeah, sure. Let me ask you a question. Do you think that they have any kind of? Do you think that they're flesh and blood? Do you think that they have any extra capabilities?
Yes and no.
Well, you said you got zapped.
Blood, yeah, flesh and blood, definite. But with other abilities. Whenever I was out in Oklahoma with Kumbo back in 2018, and he was blowing the shofar in this one area out in Purgatory.
Yep.
We were, and I'm sure you've heard him talk about this before, where 3 of them came in on us while we were out there in Purgatory. He blew the shofar, and they started roaring. They were literally, they were miles away, but they started roaring, and they were coming in hot and heavy, right in on us. And we were staying right there in the middle of the road next to the trucks. But they came in, but they stopped short around 50 yards out, and we could hear them moving around. We could see shadows. We could see eye shine as they were moving around, but they just stopped. And my impression was, especially with the significance of the shofar, was that they were waiting for something else. They were waiting for another signal, for something to happen that didn't come. And eventually they went away. Now that experience, after mulling over it and thinking about it and praying about it and researching a little bit more into it, that convinced me that they are descended from, if not Nephilim, then something similar, where they do have something more, something special in their DNA, that that they can, as some reports say, I've never witnessed it myself, but as some reports say, that where they disappear or you can't see them, and you can't explain it by any scientific measure, which is always my fallback on. I fall back on science. It's not explainable by infrasound, by hallucinations or delusion or amnesia or anything else. It's something else, and that's that's about all I can say. But yeah, flesh and blood with something else.
Yeah. Well, like for example, the eye shine thing. Now, when you've seen eye shine, to you, does it look like it's just a reflection from whatever light source that might be around, or does it seem like it's self-illuminated?
All the eye shine that I've experienced has been a reflection from moonlight or whatever ambient light is out there. And whenever somebody said, "Oh, it was pitch black," and their eyes were glowing, and I tell them, unless you're in a coal mine, there is always ambient light out there somewhere. You're not in complete darkness.
Somebody asked a question. Squirrel, were you marking the questions?
I was.
Somebody asked a question if she was in an area.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I remember seeing that. Yes, there are many sightings in Butler County, quite a few. Cranberry Township and Moraine State Park also. I've researched in Moraine fairly often. I'm only maybe a half an hour from there. The north part of the park is very active. Okay, Rockton, no, I did not live close to that area. Yeah, I don't know where Rockton, PA is. I'd have to look on the map. But yeah, Butler County is very active. It's a very wooded county. I was speaking with one of the rangers, one of the park rangers one time, and
Debbie,
I asked him, yeah, Debbie, yeah, we've both been to Moraine. Yeah.
Sure.
There's quite a few sightings and a lot of sign around there. One of the park rangers told me that Pennsylvania is 71% forest, which, to think of, you wouldn't, at first glance, you really wouldn't think it's that heavily wooded. But yeah, 71% forest.
Yeah. Well, what was it? Is it Ohio? Ohio is, I forget the geographical thing on Ohio, but just looking at all that area up there, and then, West Virginia, Again, just very mountainous states. And a lot of these states,
Yeah.
Pennsylvania is actually pretty high on the activity thing if you look at like the BFRO site or whatnot. But it seems like the same land right there in western Pennsylvania into Ohio, down into West Virginia. It all seems like the same terrain until you get a little bit further down into West Virginia.
Yeah, we're considered part of the Appalachian Range, just like you are, and you also, Greg, down in Alabama.
Yep.
The Appalachian Range, runs, I think, all the way from up in Vermont on down into Alabama.
Yep.
It's the hills from the mountain range run partway into Ohio. But most of Ohio is flat, just rolling fields, patches of forest. It's a lot of fields, a lot of Amish cornfields, and so on. Until you get down into southern Ohio, where you run into the more mountainous and the hills and hollers. Like I tell everyone, it's hills and hollers, hills and hollers.
Have you noticed, just like most people, have you noticed a correlation with water as far as activity goes? Because a lot of places that are mountainous don't necessarily have a ton of activity. But like if you get into flatlands, it seems like the activity is almost always around water sources.
Yeah, it's around the lakes and the rivers and so on. But here, in the foothills, it's you go down the mountain streams, down into the creeks and everything that runs down to the rivers, and that's where we look. We look around the lakes, the ponds, the creeks, and they're mostly around there, or they hang around there quite a bit, of course. Granite, quartz.
Mary, your screen is froze up.
Can you see me yet? Can you hear me?
We can hear you, and we can see you where you froze up at, but you're not moving. It's up to you if you want to hop off and get back in, see if that fixes it, or.
Okay.
You try to change the
Still-
layout.
still froze?
Yep, still froze.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm telling you, it's the government.
I'm telling you.
The government's doing it. Men in black.
Yep.
Now it's just a black screen.
Oh, that's weird.
My wife.
I mean,
my wife.
can-
over there, did you read the comment where it's Cedar Creek Bottoms Farmstead Live? Miss Rebecca said she's hey guys, I'm listening with my eyes closed though. And then my wife messages back to her, hey Rebecca, baby, if her eyes are closed, she ain't reading the chat.
I'll tell you what, last night ended up being a long night anyway. I'm still tired from it.
All right. I think
I know Squirrel is.
Nah.
Huh?
Yeah,
What?
that's
Squirrels
start
make-
being a Friday thing, not a Sunday. Because I talked to Tiffany till about 2-something in the morning after we got done. I made a link on my StreamYard and was talking to her. But you were talking about a park ranger, telling you something, and I've done said it before about the one telling about the fairy flying up underneath the rock. Have you ever seen anything like that?
I'm sorry, you were breaking up a little bit. About what?
What I figured.
Jeez.
Have you ever seen or heard anybody give reports of seeing fairies?
Oh, yeah. I've heard of them, and but I don't take reports about that. I have heard reports of little people, about 1 to 2 feet tall. There's one particular area here in Western Pennsylvania where they're more known to be. And it's strange, they're dressed in traditional Native Indian costume, loincloth and carrying a little bow and arrow.
The loincloth.
Long call.
And and that's the reports, that I'm hearing. It's quite strange.
That is strange.
Yeah.
What about other cryptid supernatural stuff? You ever experienced anything besides boogers?
I've taken reports and investigated a report of a Wendigo up in Forest County, but I'm not 100% convinced that it was a Wendigo, though. I'm thinking that it was, there's a mixture of some paranormal activity there along with Bigfoot. And the paranormal was kind of fooling people into thinking that it was a Wendigo. But that's an ongoing investigation up in that area. One of the photos that I sent you, particular Bigfoot in that area, he's harassing an elderly couple, and he hangs around their deer stand. And what he's done, he's taken saplings, young saplings, the branches from them, that are very flexible, and he's wound them around the railing, effectively blocking access up into the deer stand. And, it's just weird what he's done, just winding and braiding these flexible tree limbs, onto the railing.
That is odd.
Mm-hmm.
So, ghost, dog man, anything else?
Oh, I don't investigate ghosts. I've lived in haunted houses. I want nothing to do with that. But yeah, we get a lot of reports. And dog man, yeah, there's dog men in the area. One was seen maybe a mile from where I live. I have no desire to see one of them.
Yeah.
Zero.
Join the club.
Me,
Yeah.
not really.
Thunderbirds have been seen. I think someone reported what they're saying was a pterodactyl flying around, the area. And, somebody else said, no, that's a thunderbird. Well, I don't know. Pterodactyl's a different look than thunderbird. And but the Mothman also. Yeah, there's a lot of sightings of the Mothman.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. So he's not just stuck to Point Pleasant, West Virginia, huh?
Nope. Apparently he ventures out into other areas.
No reportings of the Jersey Devil in your area?
Nope. Fortunately, no. Yeah, there's a team of researchers from New Jersey that I work with, and great couple. They run Habit, HABIT organization. Steve and Shelley Stetzer, great couple, and they're very thorough what they do. And yeah, I've gone on a couple different trips with them. In fact, the last one was up in Prince Gallitzin State Park, which is in central Pennsylvania. And that area, I had sent a photo from, I think it was the last night that we spent there. There's a picture of a tree, and it could be possible eye shine. And we were sitting around the campfire that evening just talking, and something came up maybe 10 feet away from us, just watching. And, we were just sitting there talking. And all of a sudden, I could feel pressure, intense pressure in my head. and everybody else started complaining about, upset stomach or headache, migraine, and so on. And myself, the pressure was just getting more intense. And again, the Irish came out, and I just I went off. I got up and hollered at them, and I said, "You stop that! You just stop that!" I said, "You're making us sick. Your mama should beat your bum." I was shaking my finger at him and everything. But fortunately, it the infrasound let off just a little bit later, within a couple minutes. So we all started feeling better.
Hey,
So
he was worried you were going to take off after him with a golf club.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
That's like a scene from a bad horror movie. She's sitting there in the house and got a loaded gun beside her chair. But
Yes.
what does she pick up and run out the door with? A golf club.
Yep. Well, that night I didn't have the pistol with me.
Wow.
It was back in the bedroom.
Talked about it. Genetic manipulation and or extraterrestrial technology. What is Ray prattling on about? Don't know. Hard to say. Anyway, well, you got any other parts of the topic you want to cover, Mary?
Let's see. Some of the photos I sent you. One of the photos.
I had to reload everything. Give me 1 second. I'll try to pull it up.
Sure. Yeah, we can go through the photos.
Here they are.
You'd rather see a Bigfoot than a fairy? I agree. Yeah. Fairies can be vicious, from what I've heard. Okay, that's the dog that she's in her spot, laying by the back door. That's the one that would huddle up against my legs in absolute terror. She passed away in 2016. This was taken in Brown Springs, Oklahoma.
Ooh, Brown Springs.
Yep. Chuck Schlebs, myself, Kumbo, and B. Doss.
Yep. Bet that was a good trip.
It was. That was a fantastic trip.
Did you guys have any activity while you were there?
Every single night we had activity. We were out there for a week, and we were hanging around the Chickasaw National Recreation Area on the most part, and then we ventured down to Brown Springs, and because that's where DDoS researched primarily, and it was a fantastic week. There was about 14 of us all together in that group, and almost everyone had a sighting, at least one sighting during that week.
Really?
Let's see, the fourth day of the week, we were finished. Yeah, we were leaving Purgatory, and I was riding in the truck with Chuck, Dave Houston, and my sister was sitting in the back seat behind, right next to me. And one of the members of our party, he was having trouble with his pickup truck, Jimmy Osmer, as a matter of fact. He was having problems, and so we pulled over into the parking lot of a casino, and everybody else they got out and was hanging around his truck looking under the hood. But everybody in our pickup truck, we were all tired, and we just stayed there in the truck. And I was sitting behind Dave. He was the driver, and Chuck was in the front passenger seat, my sister behind him. Now, as soon as we stopped, Dave and my sister got on their phones, and they're playing games or texting. I don't know what they were doing. But Chuck and I, we were more experienced. So, no matter where you're at, situational awareness, you stay alert. And, I was just looking out the side window and I see movement. Here's this Bigfoot ran out between the casino and the building next door, across a brightly lit parking lot, across 4-lane highway and into the woods on the other side. He was running full out. And Chuck and I were the only ones to see him.
Did you say this is right at Purgatory or Anadarko area?
No, yeah, this photo here, that was at Brown Springs.
No,
But
whenever
I saw it, that was, I would think, outside of Purgatory, Caddo County.
Yeah.
The casino's fairly well known for the Bigfoot hanging around there. In fact, the security guard came out. She was wondering what we were doing hanging out in the parking lot. And so I was talking to her. I asked her, would you share that security footage? Because I knew that they had to have picked it up. And she answered me flat out. She said, no, we're not going to share it. In fact, it's going to get destroyed. We don't want people coming to the casino for Bigfoot. We want them here to gamble.
After they got rid of the famous one where it was digging in the grease trap.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, after they got rid of that one, they're not going to give any of that any credit anymore. They're going to keep all that stuff hush.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Greg had one digging the grease off the porch.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that one they drank the grease, probably 3 gallons of grease out of the big fish cooker pot I got.
Right off his back deck at his man cave, like up on the deck. Yeah.
Yeah, I got a 10 gallon cast iron pot with a burner under it, one of the old school pots, and it had picked the lid. It's got a big aluminum lid for that pot, and he'd picked the lid up and set it over about 4.5, 5 feet, set it in the middle of the picnic table, and the grease level was dropped. At least 3 gallons of grease gone out of that fish cooker. There was no grease on the floor it's a wooden covered porch. They didn't make a mess or anything. So,
but they have the runs.
Yeah, don't you know it? That may have been may could have followed them by smell.
Ray, okay, do you feel they tend to choose who they show themselves to? It's very possible. Chuck and I have talked about if it's possible that they tag people, and it's possible. I was studying again infrasound. Infrasound can change your DNA, and that's just one possible way that you are tagged, that certain people are tagged. Is that what happens? I don't know. It's just a possibility.
What is this picture up here, Mary?
Oh, okay. That was taken at Prince Gallitzin State Park. The lights off to the right, that's another tent, but in the trees, and unfortunately it's not a real good photo. You really can't make him out, but he was standing behind that tree, right behind that tree, just watching us as we sat around the campfire.
Okay. Yeah, I really can't see anything. Maybe if it was blowed up full screen or something.
Yeah. Now this one was a recent investigation that I was on. I went out to eastern Pennsylvania, up in the Pocono Mountains with another group of researchers, one of our county chapters. And this is a the beginning of a field, a 20-foot tall mountain laurel, and it's just crazy how thick that the mountain laurel is, and there have been quite a few sightings, and it's just a general photo, of the rhododendron and the night that we were there. Unfortunately, there was no activity, um, but there was a history of activity and vocals and sightings there.
Yeah.
That's the dog I have right now. Her name is Sinead. She's a border collie. And yes, she has had her own Bigfoot encounters. She's also a pretty good booger dog. She is absolutely terrorized whenever one's in the area. Yeah,
So she,
her first. Pardon me.
I was just going to say, she's the canary in the mine shaft.
Yes,
If she starts getting nervous, you know what's going on, huh?
absolutely. Yeah, yeah. Her first encounter was in Salt Fork State Park. She was at the. I had her tied up. We were at a tent site, and I had her on a 20-foot lead, and she had gone over to the edge of the campsite to relieve herself. She squatted down. Thank you, John. And she was just squatting down, and she glanced over the hill, and all of a sudden she raced back to me, her eyes wide open, her tail tucked, and just absolutely in terror by whatever she saw over the hill. And that was the reason why we were camped at that particular campsite, because there was a history of them coming to that campsite, people seeing them. Oh, well, a scared dog is the best booger dogs there are. If they're a aggressive dog, they don't last long around Bigfoot.
Yeah. They become a snack.
They do. Yeah.
I've had my hunting dogs do that before, being out hunting and just come back absolutely terrified. One dog done it one time, and hours and hours we tried to catch that dog, and couldn't nobody get close to him. Every time, he knows me, knows Sherry and Jim, and we'd call for him, and as soon as we'd see him and try to get out and get him, he'd just take off. And when we got him back in the truck, he was absolutely terrified.
Yeah.
And they're bear dogs. They're not coon dogs. These dogs are used to running big, scary stuff, and he was scared.
Smart dog. Smart dog.
He seen something he didn't like.
Yeah.
The thing about it, and this is something that Bill White used to talk about, and I'm pretty sure Mark Green will tell y'all the same thing, because Bill, him and Bill were really close, but a lot of the times the dogs that wound up that the boogers would get, they would grab those dogs like in the middle of the back, and they just like rip their hide, like just pull them apart, like pull their hide up over their head and off their tail. They just like they was stretching them, they'd grab them with both hands. They just like grab the dog and just jerk it. And that's how they would eliminate dogs a lot of the times.
Yeah.
Bill had piles of reports of that happening.
Yeah, I'd gotten a recent report of this lady and her son, a dog man apparently, literally ripped their Jack Russell apart in pieces. Apparently, they're a pretty vocal and aggressive little dog, and apparently this one had barked one time too many, at the dog man alerting, the humans to it. And so he got ripped apart right in front of the little boy.
Ew, that's traumatizing.
Yeah.
What is this the vines or the branches being woven around?
Yeah. These are the stairs going up into the hunting blind, and those are branches from a sapling just wound around the railings, going up into this blind. It's just strange what this thing is doing. And the only thing I can figure out is, it's to block them from going up in there for whatever reason.
They don't want any competition with the hunting.
No. And that's my husband and myself. My husband's name is Lou. He is the love of my life, a wonderful man, and I will freely and 100% admit that to anyone.
Hey, Lou.
Hey, Lou.
No doubt.
And okay, this photo was taken last October in Oklahoma. My sister and I had gone out with Chuck Schlabs to a cabin in Hanobi.
Oh boy!
And that was fantastic. This was taken the first morning that I got there. First morning I woke up and I went outside with my camera, just taking random photos, around the property. And I had posted those photos on my group, and someone said, hey, there's something there. So I said, okay, so we zoomed in and found 2 figures. And so, I went out, I found the spot where they were laying. I was able to line it up, and I walked over there. Okay, is it rocks sitting there? Is it a tree stump? What are these 2 dark sagittal crested figures? And there's 2 of them there. I walked over and there was nothing there. They were laying at the top of the bluff behind the cabin, just watching me as I walked around taking photos. Unfortunately, it's pretty pixelated and so on because I was, maybe 75 yards away, something like that. But you can tell there's 2 figures there. They both have sagittal crest, and there have been twins seen there. There is a female who seems to enjoy. She's infatuated with one of the guys that goes there. She has attempted to go into the cabin. There's one night, not whenever we were there, but one night when someone else was there, when apparently she or another one opened the door that they unfortunately left unlocked, and they woke up in the morning to the door wide open. The last night that we were there at that cabin, something came up on the porch, jiggled a knob, threw rocks at the cabin, at the wall where my sister at her bedroom wall. And it's of course, the reputation of Hanobi.
Oh yeah.
It is an active area, and the owner of the cabin, he has security cameras on the porch, and he said, if you want to keep them away, keep the camera on. If you want to experience them coming up, cover up the camera. So we covered up the camera. We wanted to experience what they were doing.
Mary, most people don't realize that it's a whole different level when these things come up and bang on your house or stuff like that. I mean, I have it here, not regular, but it's happened a lot.
Yeah.
And I can't set a calendar by it or nothing like that to you when it's going to happen, and there's really no rhyme or reason. But yeah, when you're minding your own business in your own home, or your own cabin, and next thing you know, it sounds like sounds like a kid on a bicycle's crashed into the wall.
Mm-hmm.
That's when it gets your attention. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And I'm thinking that it's the juveniles just trying to, elicit a reaction out of us.
Yeah.
That's my impression.
I think you're probably right.
They love to play with the funny humans, and they want to see us scream and yell and holler and run around all panicking and everything. And they don't get that from me.
Misty will tell you they don't want to play with Spencer. They avoid him.
It seems like it. Yeah, whenever I'm around, they're not. But if I leave, they come out and.
I don't know why, like you intimidated them or something. I don't know what the deal is.
I didn't intimidate them.
They like Misty.
They like Misty. Yep. So, soon as Mark left, but like what Mary was saying earlier, whenever
we're talking about boogers. We ain't talking about normal people. We already know the normal people didn't like it.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Not at all.
This is supposed to be a serious show. We got it out of our system last night.
We've held it in a long time today. But look, everybody in chat won't know why me and Misty ain't saying nothing. It's because we're both just in depth with Mary, everything she's got to say. It's like, wow. I mean, that's the thing about Mary. I mean, she's had so many encounters and been dealing with these things for so many years. Y'all, I mean, it's overwhelming. I mean, like with what I've dealt with, and here Mary is, she's been doing it twice as long as I have. And the thing that she's got that I don't really go out looking for these things. They just follow me. She's got them basically following her, and she's going and looking for them. So, it's like, people really need to listen to what people like Mary has to say, and you can learn a whole lot, a lot.
Speaking of which, Mary, since you do go to all these places looking for them and everything, what do you think? What do you think for anybody that's just randomly listening to the show now, or that's going to see it later? If they were in Pennsylvania area and they wanted to see if they could, get some activity from one. Do you guys do you do yells up there? Do you do the calls like?
Whenever I don't personally, because of what happened that one night.
Right.
I won't beat on trees. I won't whoop, and I won't holler. I tell people you don't need to. Ray, no, I've never experienced that. I've heard other people who have experienced it. I've never experienced mind speak. But yeah, I tell people you don't need to beat on trees. You don't need to whoop and holler and everything. You sit around. We go into active areas and we sit there. They come to us, and I'll do different things. Like I'll lift the lid of a dumpster and let it bang closed, and basically ring the dinner bell.
Right.
If nothing's happening, try to draw them in. And that's primarily. My thing is I want to learn. I keep learning, and the more that I learn, the more that I want to learn. It just draws me in. As other people have described it, this is a rabbit hole. Once you get into this, it's a very deep rabbit hole. You can get into all kinds of crap once you get into this.
It definitely leads to more questions.
A lot of us go out and do calls and stuff, but the thing is, you really shouldn't. I mean, because you don't know what you're saying.
Right, exactly. And that's what I tell people. Unless you know what the call is, what it means, what response that it will elicit, don't do it. Kumbo does. I've been on, quite a few outings with him, and that man knows what he's doing. He knows the language. literally know, whenever they do the samurai chatter, I don't think he knows the language, but the different calls and so on, he knows.
That's
Yeah.
just like I tell people all the time: don't go get a shofar and go out in the woods and start hitting on that
No.
thing.
No,
No, definitely. Look,
Somebody's gonna have a bad day.
I've done been too many times with Kumbo, and I've watched the shofar. That's nothing to play with, y'all. I promise you. That's. I mean, when as much encounters as I've had, and as Kumbo's had, Troy's had, Jimmy Oz. No, when you're out with Kumbo and it's 3 or 4 of you, and he breaks the shofar out, and he gets the response, and then it starts getting hairy, and he looks at you and goes, "We need to leave."
Yeah.
Trust me, they don't nobody have to beg you to get in the truck.
No. Yeah, if he says it's time to go, jump, time to hop in the truck, and you go. Mm-hmm. I'm disabled. I don't hop very much anymore, but I'll get up as fast as I can. My sister is she walks with a cane, so I'll take her along. She's my squatch bait. I'll knock her down first.
There you go. You ain't got to be the fastest. You just can't be the slowest.
That's right.
What? What are you laughing at?
You just got to hit their kneecaps real hard.
Yeah. That's what I'm now about, people. You go out on outings.
And I said, yeah, that's like you.
If you go out on an outing with several people, the person you got to worry about that's really sketchy is the person that their sidearm's a .22 pistol. They're not going to shoot the booger. They're going to kneecap you.
That's right.
Yeah. If that's their plan, yeah.
Now I'm going to be looking for anybody carrying a golf club too.
No doubt.
I'm not going to be standing beside that person.
That's what you need. That'll work better than a stick.
Well, my question is, like y'all's Pennsylvania Bigfoot group, how many members have y'all got now in y'all's group?
We are almost at 19,000. Almost.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's unreal. And wow. And y'all, on average, like in a week, how many reports do y'all probably get in a week?
Multiple daily. And which prompted me, I personally, I can't investigate every single sighting all over the state. I would love to, but I can't. And so what I did was I started up county chapters where we have a chapter lead in the counties all over Pennsylvania. We have a little over 30 county chapters. There's 60 some counties in Pennsylvania, but so far we've got a little over 30 chapters where the people, whenever we get a report, we look up, what county that they're in, and we'll tag the county chapter lead, and we'll have them contact the witness. And if the witness is interested, for them to come and do an investigation, then that's what they'll do. But at least, we have coverage. I can't, like I said, I physically and financially, I can't do it.
Yes, that was funny. Sorry, Mary, didn't mean to. I just wanted Greg to see that comment.
Yeah. Oh, that was a night when it was one of those nights like we need to go. That booger was coming hard and he was coming fast and he was a long way from being happy.
Yeah.
And it was time to leave. And y'all, that was one hell of a night. I mean, it was crazy. But yeah, Mary, like I said, I've been on Mary and them's Facebook page for a long time now, And I'm envious of all the stuff that they've always got going on in Pennsylvania, because there's always some type of festival, there's some type of something going on, and it's amazing at how those people up there apparently are really open to the whole Bigfoot deal.
It is. It's fantastic. That there's so many festivals. Throughout the state. I know parts of the state they complain. Oh, why don't you hold a festival here? And I tell them, I don't hold the festivals. It's local people who do the festivals. It's up to you to um, hold the festival yourself, or find someone. Go to your visitors bureau for the county, for your area. Talk to them, because they've got money through the state, to pull off one of these big festivals. And that's what happens up in Forest County, Pennsylvania. They had the first festival was in, I think, 2021. I was their keynote speaker at that one, at the first one. People were parked outside of town a mile away. They were walking in a mile just to come into the festival in the center of town. And it was fantastic. Last year, it was dead. No one came.
Really?
This year, I decided not to go because of last year's response. Well, this year was double what the first year was. The crowds were even more.
Wow.
There's festivals like that all over the state. And, I tell people, check into it, contact your businesses, your resorts, if you have any in the area, your campgrounds even, where maybe they can put on a festival. But yeah, it can be done.
Yeah.
And people learn. We get speakers in there who know what they're talking about on the most part. And they help to teach people and introduce them into what Bigfoot are and activity in the area. People are surprised, there's activity in your area. I think, like the person who asked a question earlier about activity in Butler County, they're surprised at just how much is going on.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a matter of so many people just don't know what to look for.
Right.
And there's so much misinformation, so much BS out there on the subject. You really got to listen to the right people. It makes all the difference in the world.
You do. And we try to help people, and that's part of my purpose, is to help people, to teach them, and our it's part of my motto, for the organization. The first word in our motto is respect, and that's not only for the witnesses, who many of them have suffered PTSD, but also for the Bigfoot. I teach people, respect the Bigfoot, respect them, respect their territory, respect their families, because that's what their main purpose is, is to protect their families.
Mm-hmm.
And learn more, share what we learn, and have fun while we're doing it. And, I think that's one of the big differences, with our organization, is what we learn. We don't hoard. We share the information with other organizations, and we all share with each other, because, if you hoard that information, you're not going to learn. Nobody's going to learn. You're just going to keep repeating the same old, oh, okay, let's cast footprints and let's knock on trees. It's that over and over again. You're not going to learn anything. It's been done. Been there, done that. It's, done.
Yeah. Well, and too, that, like that, like a lot of these people, to me, the diehard skeptics, and they want to scream, well, where's your evidence? They're not real. You don't have this and you don't have that. And, you don't have this evidence. And what I try to challenge people to do is like, look, just go into it with an open mind, and let's don't look at the evidence we don't have, the evidence you're wanting. Let's look at the evidence that we do have. And when we can start stacking up the evidence we do have, and I tell a lot of people, there's enough evidence to prove these things are real. There's more than enough evidence by the time you count all the evidence we do have. You could convict somebody of murder and put them away for the rest of their life. I mean, you could carry the evidence that is out here, legitimate evidence, and you could convict somebody in a court of law on murder. I mean, you absolutely could, because you've got so much. There is a pile of physical evidence, and there's a pile of just, a witness accounts. There is a lot of evidence, but people, they refuse to even look at it. It's so easy for them to just ridicule and push it away. And I think a lot of people, if they really dive into it and they start seeing it, that it absolutely scares them to death. That it absolutely scares them, that because they start to realize that maybe monsters are real. And, that I think that's what they're afraid of.
Yeah, part of that, also is that they're influenced by certain Bigfoot research organizations and the government backing that it is active suppression. It is, Men in Black. They're real. They really are, and they come and they threaten people, and they put people down. They destroy.
They hack into your
lives.
YouTube and StreamYard account and mess all the controls up.
Yeah.
Yeah, they destroy scientists' lives who put
There's
out
something going on.
real results.
Yeah. Well, like I said, if the government hadn't got anything better to do than to worry about me or most of us, I mean, they got bigger fish to fry, I'm afraid.
Well, I think part of it is the DNA, Bigfoot DNA, that it's not only non-human primate, with, Dr. Melba Ketchum's findings, which I'm a firm believer that her findings are real. And that's why there is such a virulent suppression effort out against her results. That it is backed by government money.
Yeah.
Because of the DNA, because of the Nephilim. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, the thing about it too that ought to be a big red flag for people is if this was just made up by a bunch of people that were playing make believe, why is the government fighting it so hard? Why would they care? I mean, if it's smoke mirrors, why would they care?
Yeah, they're just now coming out with UFO.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, like that, they were slow walking that over. They still are to a degree. Yeah. But, little bit of stuff comes out here and there, to kind of get people ready for it. But whenever that one witness in Congress talked about theoretically the UFOs could be possibly jumping through other dimensions, I was like, as soon as they said that, they just opened a whole can of worms. Anything is possible. If they start getting, if they're talking about stuff like that openly in Congress, who knows? Maybe they'll come out and admit about boogers here soon.
I
Mary,
think that
do you have a YouTube?
Pardon me, Misty?
Do you have a YouTube? Do you have a YouTube channel? Can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah, we do. It is Pennsylvania Bigfoot Project. Just look that up
I'm gonna try to
I
put
think,
a link up. That's what I was watching.
yeah, I think one of the posters, one of the commenters put it up a little bit earlier in the show.
Yeah.
He did, but I couldn't find it, so I'm gonna go back in and repost it.
Sure. Yeah, we've got a
I'm
YouTube
having
channel.
a lot of my internet, so I couldn't get it to go back that far.
Yeah, I've got
I
a
didn't know
personal one just under my name, but I don't do anything in there, and then one under the organization.
I didn't know y'all had a YouTube channel.
Yep.
Well, we've gone on for over an hour and a half. Is there anything else? Does anybody else have any questions?
I just want everybody to, hey, look, I don't reckon you got to actually live in Pennsylvania to get on their Facebook thing. So, I mean, I've been up there, and I'm like 12 hours, 14-hour drive from there. So, but I really, I do. I try to keep up with their posts and stuff, and just phenomenal to me because, I'm a lot of Facebook groups I'll read. I don't comment on other stuff, but I'll comment on Mary and them because they really do. They've got a great group, and they don't put up ridicule or people harassing folks, trolls. That they know have to change that to the Trolls Die Here Network. They'll take them down.
Right.
Yeah.
She does. They're very on top of their posts in that group.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very clean Bigfoot page. It's instead of being loaded with just all kinds of drawings and artwork and the same stuff we see on a lot of all the other pages.
Yeah, we
I don't know
try
how
to
you do it.
Chat. Can you see that? I've shared it twice, but it's not showing up in the comments. Like, I don't understand that.
What did you share?
Her link.
Oh,
the
I'm
YouTube
on
channel.
here, but it's. Wow, I don't know what the world's
I don't know. Something's weird with weird with StreamYard.
It ain't
The
just
reason why-
StreamYard. It's all my stuff.
I don't know. I was looking on my phone. That's what I keep looking on my phone to say. Oh.
Yeah, the reason why I keep the group basically such a tight ship is for the witnesses. Too many of them suffer from PTSD, as I mentioned earlier. They are ridiculed by their friends, by their family, by their spouses, by the people that they should be able to trust the most, to support them. And unfortunately, they don't have that support. And so I protect them as much as I can by keeping the trolls, the ridicule and harassment out.
Yeah. Yeah, it gives people, y'all's group gives people a really safe space to come and, to share.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer in the First Amendment, but for something like this, I have to restrict.
Yeah. Mm.
Well, we will. We'll figure out a way. I'll go back and edit the video title, the description, and put the links for your Facebook group and the YouTube channel on there as soon as we figure out what's going on, because apparently it's. I don't know what's going on, but we'll get it.
We'll have to, because
I
can't even get another link to open up. I mean, Diane was trying to tell me how to do it, and I was doing it the exact same way. So I tried to go in on my phone, and my internet is so bad it won't even open a second tab. So we'll post it though.
Thank you very much.
We appreciate you being on.
Yep.
Hey, just
Greg was
to
looking
see
forward
friends.
to it, I think, more than we were.
Yeah. I
It's
hadn't got to see Miss Mary in person since one of the outings at the LBL, and that's been a couple or 3 years ago.
Yeah, it has been. It's been a while.
Been a while.
Got to meet Spencer and Misty next.
That's
Yeah.
right.
I thought we met at LBL. Weren't you at one of the meet and greets there whenever we were down there?
Yeah. Yes. Was that a couple years ago, or was that the 2000? What is it? 17. I was there in 2017 for the Outlaws meet and greet,
No,
and
this was, you were up there at the for
the
the
Beast.
for the base one. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I was there for that one also.
Yeah,
We had more activity at the first one.
yeah.
I don't. It was pretty dead, at least for the time that I was there. This last time for the Beast meet and greet.
We got some good vocalizations whenever we went out and did some calls, but other than that, I mean, it wasn't much. But a lot of the meet and greets are, like I was just saying the other night on the show, the meet and greets are really just hang around and meet everybody and talk to them and everything. It's
Yeah.
If you've got 100 people all there in that one area, the chances of you having anything pop off are pretty slim.
Yeah. Although we had gone off with Kumbo for, I think, Greg, you were with us.
Yeah.
Whenever we were out, and
Yeah.
was it Troy? Yeah, I think Troy was there.
Yeah.
Yeah. He had that whistle.
Yeah.
Horrendous. That thing was creepy as all heck, man.
What, the Aztec death whistle?
Yes, yeah.
I hate
can
that thing.
that. People ask about it, and I tell them, look up the video from Lord of the Rings. There's a clip of the Nazgul scream. That's Nazgul. And whenever they scream, that's what that Aztec death whistle sounded like.
Yeah, I hate that thing. Bama has blown that thing behind me before and didn't tell anybody he was going to do it.
Man, that thing's
we went to the first LBL trip, the one with Mark and all of them. It was really hot, and we all went out kind of, just right there where we were camping. And I done a call that sounded like an Aztec death whistle, and we get back to camp, and Larry's like, "Who blew the Aztec death whistle?" And Debbie was like, "No, that was Misty." He was like, "Well, we had something going on behind us."
Oh my! Yeah, if you can imitate one of them, God bless you, but no thanks.
Yeah. How'd you like to have that for like an alarm tone on your phone or something?
Oh no, I'd be shooting that thing real quick. Yeah, the meet and freeze. Oh yeah, I was there. I left whenever I heard the forecast that it was going to go down to 17 degrees, and I was sleeping in the back of my pickup truck. I didn't have a heater. I drew the line at that. And plus, there was a storm coming in, so I just headed home.
Say the first night when y'all had the big campfire, we wound up, me and Troy and Mary and Jimmy Osmer and Coonbo and God, I think Cheryl, we all went out and went boogering. We went and ate at that Mexican restaurant or something, and then we went boogering while y'all were all at the campfire.
Yeah. Man, it got cold that night.
Yeah.
And then we got up early the next morning about 6 a.m. and tried to get out of there before that blizzard, ended up preventing us from getting home.
Yeah.
Beware the Aztec. No kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mary had her. You were camping in your truck that night when you were there.
Yeah.
She was in the campground over where Coonbo was. She was across the paved road from Coonbo.
Yeah.
She came up to the group campsite, but there was, anytime you have 50, 60, 100 people at one of these things, you just, you're busy walking around talking to everybody. Yeah. And, sometimes you get missed. And I know she came up to the main campsite right there where we were. I just didn't get much of a chance to speak to her that
No.
time.
Yeah, there were too many people there, and I chose to camp over at the other campground because I figured there'd be more activity over there because that's where we camped at previously. And I'm not much of a crowd person.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
I try to stay away from crowds.
Me neither.
Well, is there any other questions in the comments, or are we tuckered out?
I noticed Brother Bama Murdoch made it in
Y'all, if
here
you got
late,
any
but
questions,
he made it.
throw your questions up right now. Don't have to be all caps, but if you got some, get them posted.
Not according to Mr. Humphreys, who was the guy that had it happen to him and his brother. Well, both of them.
From what I've read on that, it was mainly because they bought that land and went in there and developed it, wasn't it? Just moved in there. Wasn't that a lot of it?
Yeah, I mean, I would really like to get him to do an interview, but he doesn't want to do it. But I've messaged him quite a bit, and there are other people out there that they add on to his story or embellish his story or change his story, whatever way you want to call it. But the basic thing, from my understanding of it, is by building that cabin there, they had a smokehouse and a like kind of like a walk-in cooler where they were hanging the deer and everything. And I mean, they built right in the middle. It's kind of like Flat Rock. They built right in the middle of whatever their area and just ended up having a lot of activity.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, our cabin was maybe a mile from there, from the original cabin. We weren't that far. Fantastic area. It's beautiful out there. Beautiful area.
Thank you, Robert. Mm-hmm. All right, guys. Well, Mary, thanks for doing the show. Of course, you're more than welcome to come do another one if you got other stuff you want to talk about or whatnot.
Absolutely. If I have anything else going on, which I do, there's investigations upcoming and so on, and always something going on.
Yep. Well, let us know if anything happens in PA so we can keep an eye out for it.
We'll do.
All right, guys.
Always more stories.
Yep.
See y'all whenever, next Sunday, maybe. What?
Once again,
what
big
about
love.
you want to post our email at least before you go?
Yeah.
No, but
what about everybody else's channel?
Spencer doesn't know how to do his job anymore. Like, he gets worse and worse at this every week. So I'm going to say, anybody got anything they want to talk about and tell us some stories or whatever, y'all please send us an email and go check out the people that we follow.
Yeah.
Mark and Rebecca Green.
Chris
Reinhardt.
We just thought a big thank you. Everybody was crazy enough to be up with us last night.
We've done like 4 shows on YouTube this week on various channels and everything. Everybody knows who we support.
I know. Still.
And, all right, fine. There's like the email. If anybody has anything they want to talk about. Yeah, I'm ready to go. I'm tired of YouTube this week. All right. Now can I say goodbye?
Farmstead. Encrypted connections.
I'm gonna get a banner
Discover
thing.
Sasquatch, Pennsylvania Bigfoot Project.
I'm gonna make a banner so that it just scrolls on the way out. We ain't got to say it every time.
We'll get Alan to make you a sign. That way you'll have a background there.
That's literally what we should do is put it on the end of the show. Like,
yeah. Look, Misty, since you're tight with Reinhardt, you need to get him to make a banner that'll roll, and then at the end of the show when it closes out.
That's what we can do to fill up the last 10 seconds where it's black on the intro. Instead of trimming it, we'll just put it in there.
There you go.
Yeah. I'd say Chris hates me as much as Spencer tells him that I don't like him.
It's baby steps. Baby steps.
I got to manipulate as many people as I can to get on my side, since you got a freaking army on yours.
That's because I'm the nice one. Like, literally.
That is such. At some point, we're going to do another unscheduled show, and we are literally going to show everybody our text, and we're just going to go back. Although that's going to take 4 hours because we're going to have to scroll through thousands and thousands of texts.
I don't think I want to see them.
I read it for my mom last night, and that was a good one.
Yeah,
that was the PG right
there. I don't think nobody wants to see them.
No.
I don't want to see them, Mary.
Thank you guys very much for joining us today and last night.
Thank
you, Miss Mary, for coming on. You were great. Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
Yeah.
Bye, everybody.
Everybody have a great Sunday. See y'all.
Bye. Squirrel.
Hey, y'all. Hey, Spencer. We're swapped around again.
Huh?
We're swapped around again.
Yep, I know you do it on purpose.